Section 1, finding how much hours you need to sleep. Your clock, you have a circadian rhythm. And the circadian rhythm is tuned, and it's tuned to a point where every single cell in your body has a biological clock that tells your brain when to sleep and when to wake up. And the only way we can get great sleep is if we understand what our circadian rhythm is. Because of course you can go against your circadian rhythm. Like you can, I guess you can be just with alarms and stuff, just like that natural stuff, because alarms is technically you going against your circadian rhythm. But you'll be waking up at a time that's different to your natural biological state. Literally, when you do alarms and stuff and you're going against your circadian rhythm, you're literally going against your natural biological tendencies to when you sleep and when you wake up. Meaning you'll be more sluggish, you won't be as sharp or passionate, you'll be stressed and cranky throughout the day. You just won't be at your best. So operating with respect to your circadian rhythm is the most important thing you need to do in order to be able to sleep well. You need to understand your circadian rhythm and optimize it throughout the day in order to be able to work at your sharpest and most passionate. And how do you do this? You do this through a little experiment that I kind of made, which is you just simply sleep without an alarm for a week and see how long you stay in bed for. And the trick to make this kind of experiment, I like to call it easier, is trying to get in bed roughly around the same time for the whole week. Yes, even the weekends. Because what we're going to do with this experiment is basically find out our range. So do we naturally wake up with 6 to 7 hours of sleep, 8 to 9? We're just going to find our range at which we sleep and when we're at our best, at our 100% brain capacity. So let's say you get in bed every day for a week at about 9 p.m. and you wake up at 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. every day. That means that you naturally need 8 to 9 hours. Now, everybody's going to have different ranges. Some people don't need 8 to 9 hours. Some do. I don't need 8 to 9 hours personally. I naturally just need around 6 to 7 hours because I've tried this. I went to sleep around 10 every day for a week and woke up around 4 to 5. So naturally, I only need around 6 to 7 hours to work at my best. So it all depends. There isn't a magic range that you need to follow. Sleep isn't a one-size-fits-all because we all have different circadian rhythms and biological clocks that follow their own time. So just try out that experiment for a week. Try to get in your bed around the same time every day without an alarm. See what times do you wake up. And then you just find a range of hours that are set to your sleep times and wake up times. And then next time you just have sleep times and wake up times in accordance to your range. So 6 to 7 hours is my range. So I set up my sleeping times when I go to sleep and when I wake up accordance to that. Of course, you're not going to be 100% on the money all the time. You're not going to, get 6 to 7 hours or always be in your range 100% of the time. But on average, you should be getting around 8 to 9 if you need 8 to 9, or 6 to 7 if you need 6 to 7. So these sleeping times and wake up times should be just a decent benchmark for you to follow. For example, my range is around 6 to 7 hours, and I just naturally need 6 to 7 hours just to be at my best, just naturally. So if I want to wake up at 4 a.m., I have to be in bed around 9:30 the latest. And it's better if I'm in bed around 8:30, best case, but I'm almost never in bed by that time. But my range at which I sleep at to be at my most optimal is around 8:30 to 10. That's if I want to wake up at 4 a.m., and I do. So that's my range. And usually I'm in bed around the average of those times, so 9 p.m. or 9:15. So basically, if your range is 8 to 9 hours and you want to wake up at 5 a.m., you need to be in bed by 7 the latest and 6 the earliest. Meaning you should be in bed in the ranges of 6 to 7 p.m., which seems pretty early. But if you actually want to wake up early and have a high amount of hours that you need in order to maximize your performance, it's better to sacrifice those 2 to 3 hours that you can use for work to get more volume, get more reps in for your sleep. Because if you're sleep deprived, you're not going to be working at your best. So if you're kind of iffy about how early you have to be in bed, you can either move up your waking time. So instead of 5 a.m., you wake up at 7 a.m. Or you can just sacrifice those couple of hours and realize that it's better to be full rested the next day to put in effort than to be sleep deprived and not really put in effort. Because yes, you can put in more volume if you're obviously waking, if you're up more hours, but is the quality there though? If you're sleep deprived, is the quality there though? Are you going to sacrifice quality for volume or volume for quality? You just have to pick which one you want more. Like, so for example, if your range is 7 to 8 hours, you need 6 to 7 like me, 8 to 9, even lower than me, 5 to 6, whatever your range is, this will be your benchmark. And you should have a desired waking time. So like, for example, me, I wake up at 4 a.m. because I want to wake up at 4 a.m. So I basically kind of like altered or kind of created my sleeping times in accordance to that waking time, right? Which is 8:30 to 10, because if I sleep in those ranges, I will get 6 to 7 hours of sleep, right? So you should have a desired waking time. If you want to wake up at 6 a.m., then just kind of like create like your sleeping times in accordance to that. So if you need 8 to 9 hours of sleep and you want to wake up at 6 a.m., you need to have like a range of, let's do the math real quick. Yeah, you need to like go to sleep at around 9 to 10 like p.m. in order to wake up like naturally at 6 a.m. So basically you should have a desired waking time and the amount of like sleep in a range that you need in order to work at your 100% capacity. And that's basically gonna be like your benchmark, and you're gonna follow that for the rest of your life until your days to the best of your ability. So you know like when to wake up and like basically like how the circadian rhythm works. Section 2, fulfilling work. If you want to fall asleep fast and have quality sleep like as well, you have to do fulfilling work. And basically what I mean by fulfilling work, it can just be putting effort into things that bring you fulfillment. So if walking your dog gives you fulfillment, that's fulfilling work, because it takes a level of effort to walk your dog. Is it a lot of effort to walk your dog? Absolutely not, but it's still effort. And it can be anything. Working out can be fulfilling work. Deep work can be fulfilling work. Fulfilling work is anything that basically like causes you to do effort, but you also enjoy it as well. And that key word is effort. Because you have to understand, we're kind of like a battery, right? Once we wake up, we're at 100% like capacity, right? Our brain is at 100%. We have the most energy when we're woken up. Of course, if you take the advice I did and you structure your sleep plan accordingly, you should have 100% kind of energy before you wake up, and like your brain should be at its sharpest. And every decision, the work you do, basically everything you do in your day requires some sort of energy, some more than others. Like obviously some things like meditating, taking breaks can boost your energy, but overall everything you do throughout the day takes away a certain amount of energy points. The more effort it takes to do a task, the more energy points it takes. So let's say you do 4 hours of deep work and that takes around 25 energy points, and you do a workout that takes another 15 energy points. Then you do another round of deep work, which takes another 25 energy points. And then you do like some sort of martial arts, and that takes around 20 like energy points. By the time the day is done, you've exerted around 85 of your total energy points. And this doesn't even account for the extra decisions that you had to make, like what to wear and all this stuff like that, which means you only have around 15 energy points left. You're tired, and there's only so much things you can muster up that energy to do. When you're dead tired at the end of the day, you know it was a good day because you did fulfilling work, and you should be proud of that. So if you want to sleep as well as you can, you have to spend as much energy on things that like require effort and are fulfilling. And remember, all fulfilling work is putting effort in things you enjoy. It maybe not enjoy, but putting effort in things that are hard, but ideally you should enjoy them, or at least enjoy the struggle and find fulfillment on overcoming that like struggle. How can you find fulfilling work? Well, first you need to look at your goals and then ask yourself, what is it that I need to do? And if I don't do it, I can't achieve my goals. So if your goal is an aesthetic body, what are the things I need to do? And if I don't, I can't get an aesthetic body. Well, you need to train hard, be in a calorie surplus or deficit, eat healthy, and recover well. And if you're not doing those things, like you can't get an aesthetic body. It's just that plain and simple. If you don't know what you need to do, it's because you simply don't know enough about the concepts to where you understand them. So you have to learn about the concepts, and then you come back and then ask yourself that question. Like the answer to those questions, what do I need to do? And if I don't achieve X, is your task. And that basically need to be done, your highest leverage tasks that need to be done. And basically your goal is just to put as much energy as you want into these tasks, and by the end of the day you should be so burnt out that you just fall asleep like this. Like, it's just simple and plain. Like, once you close your eyes, 5 minutes pass and like you just wake up and it's the next day again. It should be like that. You should be so burnt out that you fall asleep like so easily, and you're in a deep sleep. Like, nobody could wake you up from that. Section 3, how to wind down. Winding down is just as important as sleeping itself, because when we wind down, we calm our bodies and mind. And what this does is it allows us to not be stressed while sleeping, and actually helps us go to sleep faster since we're in a state of calmness. And the best way to go about this is 2 ways: optimizing your environment and your mind. If your environment is chaotic or your mind is chaotic, you're not going to be able to sleep well. So in order to sleep at our most optimal, both of these have to be calm. So let's start with environment first. The first thing I'll say that like your environment needs is it needs to be clean. It needs to be neat. You can't have a messy bedroom and sleep well. I mean, I don't know about you specifically, but every time my room was super messy, I just couldn't sleep as well, because I'm just thinking about all the clothes in my room, and my room was just so chaotic. So keeping a clean and neat room is the first step. So if your room isn't clean, clean it. Everything in your environment should lower cortisol, which is that stress hormone. And every time it's secreted, you feel like some sort of stress, your heart beats faster, stuff like that. And that's the exact opposite we want when we want good sleep. Good sleep means low cortisol. So if your room is all messy and chaotic, it will increase your cortisol, which will therefore make you more stressed, which will therefore mean that you can't go to sleep on time or sleep well for that matter. Another thing about your environment can actually be something deeper. It can be how dangerous your environment is. If you live in a neighborhood where crime is common, you have anxiety and you'll be stressed out, and especially if you're in a state of sleeping, right? Because when you're sleeping, you're defenseless, and if you're not in a safe neighborhood, you might think, if I'm sleeping and I'm defenseless, what if someone breaks in and kills me? Like, very paranoid thoughts, especially if you're in a dangerous neighborhood. Now, it's okay to be safe. It's okay to have a gun or weapon, extra locks on the doors, or those security things that tell you when someone's at your door, like the Ring doorbell. And just in case it does happen. But the fact of the matter is, it's probably not going to happen, and more likely than not, it won't happen. And you're probably in a negative state of mind because you're thinking this, through the consumption of news and just media that highlights the worst in the world, that highlights the worst things people are capable of. And realize that every time you're paranoid, you're operating off the premise of possibility, not probability. Is there a possibility that someone can break into your house, steal all your shit, and possibly kill you? Sure, that's a possibility. But is it probable that it will happen? No. I mean, you've been living in this neighborhood. Let's say you've been living in this neighborhood your whole life. You've been living in this neighborhood your whole life, and in the X amount of years you've lived in this neighborhood, you've never that never happened to you. So is it really is this paranoia really justified? You have to start using logic to counter the paranoia, because understand this: the paranoia is justified to you just enough for you to believe it to be true. But if you pick it apart and ask yourself, why are you so paranoid? Ask yourself, what if this thing you're so paranoid has a probability of happening, and it hasn't happened your whole life? So why are you paranoid? If it hasn't happened your whole life of you being in this neighborhood, what are you so afraid of? Ask questions, understand your paranoia, and break it down with logic. That's the only way to get rid of it. Obviously, if you're able to buy reinforced locks, or that the security things on the door that shows you who's there, or keep a gun or weapon near you just in case somebody actually tries to break in, just in case. You should do that. I'm not telling you oh, you're invincible, I'm just saying that it's not probable it should happen, so you shouldn't be as paranoid as you are right now. But more importantly, stop consuming negative content that enforces your paranoia, that makes your paranoia go, see, it happened to them. They got killed when somebody broke into their house, so it can happen to us. And I can attest that this works because I live in a decently dangerous neighborhood. It's not Detroit, Michigan, or O Block, or whatever, but it still has its moments. And even a person tried to rob my apartment before. So, not my apartment, my mom's, but you get it. So, this thing has literally happened to me, but I'm still not paranoid because, even though someone literally tried to break into my house, because I did these things, I broke down, understood my paranoia, I stopped watching or reading things that enforced my paranoia, and it worked. So if you're paranoid, see if this works, try it out. Just it's a process, obviously, and it's not gonna be like, oh, you did it one time. It's everything is a process. It's not gonna be like one and done, right? You're gonna keep on having to do it, but you can start off with just stop watching things that enforce your paranoia. Stop watching negative content. Final thing I want to touch on in terms of environment is the temperature. Having a cold room between 60 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit is ideal. I have an AC, and especially since it's summer, it's hot, very hot, and I always have it on. I don't have it on at this time because I'm recording, and the audio like will get fucked up if the AC is on. But I always have it on, and it cools my room. Try to sleep in a hot room. It's impossible, and that's because when you're in a hot room, everything's just uncomfortable and icky. It just doesn't feel right. But put an AC in that same hot room, let it cool down, and you'll be able to sleep like that. So if you have a hot room, invest in the AC. It can be one like you have on your window like I do, or it can be the one with wheels and it has like a tube and you just stick it in the window and it like sucks in the air from outside and like puts in your room and cools it down. So that's basically it for environment. Environment is pretty simple. Just have a clean room. If you have paranoia, do what I like told you to do. Stop consuming that negative content and like understand your paranoia and break it down with logic, and just have a cold, like cool room, and that's all you really need for sleep. So now let's move on to the mind. So the mind, we already covered paranoia, which is part environment and part mind, just in different contexts. Now social media or just using electronics in general, especially using them right when you're about to go to sleep, is a no-no. The blue light fucks up your circadian rhythm. So from 8 to 10 p.m., I'm using no electronics. So I would suggest that you switch those, your phone, TV, or whatever electronics you use to like wind down with a book. Because one, if you have energy left, that book will drain it because you have to use your brain. And B, you get the knowledge like from the book while relaxing yourself. So it's a win-win. So switch out electronics to wind down with books or audiobooks. Preferably like hard physical like copies of books, because physical copies of books require more focus, which helps you with retention and understanding. Also, planning your day as well helps with your mind, because if you're thinking like, what do I have to do tomorrow? What is the plan for tomorrow? And you have all these thoughts on what you're gonna do or what problems can occur tomorrow, you're just gonna be stressed out and it's gonna like ruin your sleep kind of. So I would advise you to take 10 to 20 minutes like before you go to sleep just to plan your day ahead of time, like for tomorrow basically. So the night before, like tomorrow, you should plan your day 10 to 20. It doesn't take that long to plan your day, right? And basically what this does is it helps with your stress or uncertainty on what you have to do, particularly on a given day. If you want to start planning out your day effectively, create 1 to 3 daily goals that you want to achieve in that day. For me, it's script, record, edit 1 video, 100 cold DMs, and work out. Those are my 3 daily goals I planned. And basically, if I do all 3 of those goals, my day was perfect. And I planned out what the topic of my video is going to be, as long as with a couple like bullet points to get me started with the scripting process, so I don't have to think on how to start my like script. So plan out what you're going to do and how you're going to do it to like effectively. And I'll probably make a video going more in depth into preparation later down the line, but that's personally how I plan. I plan out what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, and write down things that will help me complete the task faster and more efficiently. And finally, for the mind, we have meditation. I mean, I've been saying meditation a lot, but meditation truly does help. 10 to 20 minutes of meditation, just focusing on your breath, deep inhales, deep exhales will just like calm you. It will calm yourself, it will calm your mind, and then a calm mind basically just goes to sleep like that. So you can try out meditation as well. And sometimes meditation doesn't work for everybody, but it works for me. So I'm going to say it in this video so you can try it out. Just like go block out 10, 20 minutes just to meditate, deep breaths, slow, and that will just help with your mind as well. So that's it for environment and mind, but I want to add a couple of miscellaneous things that might help you as well. So no caffeine, 8 hours minimum before bedtime. So if you go to sleep at 9, no caffeine after 1. Don't eat too big of a meal 2 hours before you're about to sleep, because the digestion can fuck up your sleep patterns and all that stuff, right? And finally, try and get sunlight in your eyes as much as you can. Probably like like, it's more like ideal that you do it when you wake up. But whenever you go outside, just try to stare at the sun. Obviously not try to stare at it, but just look at it to the best of your ability. If you watch this like the full way through, you're my ideal customer. And I just want to add that I have free one-on-one coaching calls where I help young guys lost in their journey to self-improvement gain clarity and knowledge on how to actually start progressing in their goals without the uncertainty on whether they will achieve their goal or overcome their roadblocks. So again, it's free. You just book the one-on-one call and we can just talk about whatever you feel like is stopping you from making progress and finally accelerating. So if you're interested, like in that, links in the description below this video. I wish you luck on your journey, and peace.